was a black sheriff with the sacrifice, right? Anyway, so we're getting into our roundtable discussion this morning, and today we're talking about the 2026 national budget. Now, this week, of course, all eyes are on something that affects every one of us, and that is the 2026 national budget. And the big question is that will this budget actually bring relief or real relief to Ghanaians? Now, we've had some wins this year. Inflation has finally dropped to single digits. The cedi is holding a bit steady, and that is enough progress. But if you are like most Ghanaians, life still feels expensive. When you engage people, they tell you that we can't feel it in our pockets. Food costs are still high, loans are expensive, and finding jobs is still something very tough. So, as the finance minister prepares to present the budget, the stakes couldn't be higher. Today we'll be unpacking what this could mean for you, for your business, and your household. And I am joined in studio now by Dr. Felix Larry Esilfi. He's a development economist, and he's the executive director of the Institute of Development and Economic Research. And he joins me for this conversation. Well, most likely going to be joined by another economist who I will introduce when he joins us. Doc, you're welcome to the Business Breakfast on Z.
Thank you, my brother, for having me this morning.
Great, good to see you.
Great to see you too.
It's been a while.
Yes,
I think the last time we engaged was in September.
Yeah, September. Is it August or September? I think
August or September.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been quite a long time. But I hope everything has been good.
Everything is fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, same here. By God's
thank
grace.
the Almighty God.
All right, so let's get into our conversation this morning. We're going to look at the budget, really. I mean, the one that is yet to be read, and some of the expectations and all of that. But generally, let's look at 2025. How do you think we have done as a country?
Okay.
Yes, from an economic perspective.
In terms of our performance
so far.
Yes, I would say that we've done quite well. Looking at how the economy was when the current administration took over. If you look at the key economic performance indicators, they were very bad.
Yeah.
But at least you can see that there has been some sort of improvement when you look at indicators. For example, the Bank of Ghana's policy rate, they took it from around 27.8 thereabout. Now it's around 25%. That tells you that when you come to the commercial banks, at least interest rate has marginally gone down a little bit. If you also look at inflation, you can see that they took it from somewhere 24 point something percent. Now we are in single digit, trajectory where we are talking about 8% as of the end of October. You can also look at the exchange rate. You can see that the cedi has performed fantastically this year to the level that the current administration took it from the region of 17 point something percent on the average as far as the dollar is concerned.
In 17 cedis.
Yes, 17 cedis. And yes, I beg your pardon, 17 cedis. Yeah. And then now we are talking about 10.
The economy. Your colleague economists actually say that it is not 17 cedis. Well, maybe on the at forex bureaus.
So that's why I said on the average.
Yeah, but interbank.
Yes, interbank was around 15 cedis. But you know that when it comes to the forex, the I don't want to talk of the black market, but the forex bureaus actually control the major part of the market. So you see that at that time, I personally, was doing a project, and then I had to change some fuel to pay my workers here and there, and it was around that particular region.
Right.
Yeah. So yes, I have heard other economists talking about, and I don't dispute that, because if you look at the interbank rate and the Bank of Ghana rate, you are tempted to say 14, 15, 17, 16 thereabout. Yeah. So, but be it as it may, we can confidently say that as far as Bank of Ghana's data is concerned, it is now 10.9%, I think, for the selling, and the buying is a little bit, yeah. So you could see that generally the economy has been stabilized.
Right.
So I have said that, and in fact, as at the time that the current administration was reading the budget somewhere in March, I made a prophecy that I see this year as a year of stability or stabilization of the economy.
We can call you a prophet.
Even though the government was so optimistic that they are going to trigger growth at the same time, and I said no, that is not going to be possible. Of course, the government attempted to launch so many programs and policies, but you could see that implementation has not yet taken off, because the economy at the moment needs to be stabilized, and we can confidently say that there is some sort of relative stability within the system. And so that is good. If you also look at fiscal consolidation, government has done very well in terms of government expenditure. They have remained very disciplined, tightened the whole thing, ensuring that waste are cut off, and then we actually optimize whatever spending that we are doing as a nation, and that is very, very good for us as a country. In terms of financial management, the finance minister has done extremely well, to the level that now, if you don't have clearance as a contractor, you cannot, commence a project, because you commence it at your own risk. In this case, you're not going to be paid. And so you could see that now contractors know that, okay, before I start a project, government has allocated funds, sitting there for me to be paid, at the right time, for me to be able to execute the project as it is expected by the citizenry. So that is a very good thing. So generally, I would say that the economy is doing well as far as its stability is concerned. Yeah.
But the citizens say that they don't feel the money. I mean, they don't feel the effect in their pockets.
Yes, they will not feel it that much. That is also not to say that there's no feeling at all. There is, but the feeling is quite minimal, in the sense that in the arena of ensuring stability, people may not be able to feel it that much. The people that will feel are mostly businesses, because now they can plan. If you look at inflation at 8%, consistently from double digit to a single digit. If you look at interest rate, a bit marginally lower, down. If you look at the exchange rate, it tells you that businesses can plan.
Right.
You understand? And so businesses are the group that will be able to see some sort of marginal feeling or changes as far as their dealings are concerned when it comes to the economy. But as far as retailers and consumers are concerned,
households,
or households, you see that there is in economy there's something called price stickiness. Prices of goods and services respond slowly to changes in economic situation.
They're sticky downwards.
They're sticky downwards or whatever. Yeah. So in this regard, you could see that prices have gone down marginally, but it's not as we expect because of the sticky nature of the pricing trajectory within our economic system. Partly due to the fact that people were not too sure whether the stability we are seeing is going to be sustainable. And so sellers, will be very cautious in terms of thinking of reducing prices. That is number one. One funny thing also is that, you see, and it's something that happens in the economics, changing, prices, especially at the shops, you have to change a lot of price tags, and that also comes with cost. You understand? So mostly it's also contribute somewhat significantly to the sticky nature of prices in our economic system. Then one key thing, and I think I've said it here over and over, is that as a country, we don't have a price regulatory mechanism in place. So everybody does whatever he or she wants in the market. I can go and pick a watermelon from a Brie or the mountains, like 15 cedis, and I come to Accra and looking at how beautiful and the size, I can say I'm selling it 80 cedis and nobody checks it, because we don't sell using the weight. We sell based on the looks. The banana seller down there, if you go, he looks at the finger of banana and then how attractive they look like, how long they are, and he says that this one there, it is 50 cedis. You understand? But in some other countries, because the regulatory mechanisms are there, it is the weight. So if I say I'm buying 1 kilo, it doesn't matter the looks or whatever, it is the weight that I care about. And for every weight, I know the price. So once you weigh and it is the amount of weight that I require, I pay for it and I walk away. So for such economies, you will see that once there are economic changes, the price changes are quite rapid as compared to our systems. So these are some of the reasons for which people will say that we are not feeling it that much. One, because we are looking at how we the government is focused on stabilizing the economy, cutting down waste, controlling government expenditure, and ensuring that, public financial management, is also well streamlined in order to optimize whatever little resources we accumulate as a nation.
Well, but I mean, that is one aspect of that. But some people also say that the government has actually done very well on design, but they've struggled on delivery. I don't know whether you share those same sentiments.
It is the truth. But like I said, the government focus this year has been the stabilization of the economy.
Okay.
You understand?
Right.
So I, for one, have criticized the rush in launching certain projects and programs like the Feed Ghana, this, 24-hour economy.
You think it's too early to launch them?
It's yes and no. You understand? Because like I said, when they were reading this year's budget, 2025 budget as of March, I said this year the government should focus more on stabilizing the economy. Right. You understand? And then the next year, which is 2026, will be on focusing on growth. And that is my expectation for this year, for the next year's budget, which is supposed to be read on the 13th. I think it's tomorrow, right? Yes, 13th of this month. So I am expecting that, and no, we are not yet there, but let me just touch a bit of it. I will be surprised government still talking about stabilization of the economy, ahead of the coming year's budget. I am much interested in what government, wants to do to ensure that there's growth in the economy. That is what I'm expecting. So for this year, if people say that delivery has not been done, yes, it is the case, but I am not so much concerned about that, because the focus ought to be stabilizing the economy. Because you see, stabilization of the economy is a necessary condition. You understand?
Yeah.
It's a necessary condition for every economic growth.
True.
Without your economy being stable, how do you grow? And so delivery, I knew that was going to be very slow, or even none at all, because some of the programs that they launched even at the time that the blueprint of implementation, we call it the implementation manual, or the project implementation manuals, are not in place.
So you think they were just trying to tick a box?
Yeah, I mean, because you see, that is one thing that's one challenge I have with this country as far as politicians are concerned. You have promised in your manifesto, granted, but as soon as you assume office, come out with, a timeline that we plan to do a 24-hour economy. But for this year, we are focusing on stabilizing the economy, and at the same time putting together the policy document and do stakeholder engagement. Next year maybe will be the implementation phase. People are okay with that. You understand? Feed Ghana, the same. Youth entrepreneurship, apprenticeship program is the same. You understand? Jumara and all of that. Give us a blueprint. You can't implement these things in your first year. It's not possible. Because if you see, you have just assumed office, it will take about 5 to 6 months to fully consolidate your government. And who is going to be the implementation agent? I hope you get the point. So sometimes politicians, out of desperation of winning the will of the people and proving that we are doing something, we tend to take ad hoc decisions and mess up the whole process. So I think the government should have been very clear, with us as people, that look, I'm just coming. I will need about 4, 5, 6 months to consolidate my full government. The second, half of the year will be the preparatory whatever, whilst also focusing on stabilizing the economy. Next year will be my takeoff phase. And by now, if indeed next year is going to be a takeoff phase, we need to see certain things being done. The youth apprenticeship, I'm so passionate about it, because look, my brother, as I speak to you, okay, the building that I am doing for my own project, it is being handled by Togolese. One, and then, Togolese and then Ivorians. Simply because they are they do a clean job. You understand? Ask yourself, where are our youth? The steel benders, the plumbers, the electricians, and all of that. The arc welders. All these people, they are Togolese and Ivorians working for me. I hope you get the point I'm making. Our youth, especially the young guys, all they think is Okada. I'm not saying it's bad, but for how long can you do such a work? Age will catch you.
True.
And you know, for you to ride a motorbike, our roads are even bad. Before you just, I don't know, I don't know whether you have ever sat behind a motor, if
Yes,
you are taking Okada before.
Times, yes.
By the time sometimes you get down, sometimes your joints are really aching because the way sometimes the bumps on the road to be shaking you, haphazardly. You understand? So our youth cannot continue doing such a job. And they seem to be very satisfied. You know, they do that. They get 50 cedis or 100 cedis a day. They use some to buy gankenke and some fried fish, use some for bed, and then use some to go for, excuse my language, it's early in the morning, ashao, and then sometimes some of them for tramo, and then they hope that tomorrow they will go for another, and then they will get money. And there's no vision, there's no clear aim. But these are the future of the nation. If we don't put them strategically in areas where they can help propel the growth of this particular country, we are doing ourselves a disservice, a great disservice for that matter. So we need to be very careful. Right. So that youth apprenticeship program, for instance, you understand, I just saw some forms going around. The question is, where did they even do what is called stakeholder engagement? We have Kumasi Magazine, Accra Kokompe, Tamale Magazine. Mechanics alone, auto mechanics alone can train a lot of the youth. We have construction companies in this country. What engagement has the government or the sector minister done with them to ensure that at least steel bending and what have you, bricklaying and all those stuff, some of these youth are actually engaged over there to be trained and learn on the job? What are we doing? So the launching, that is why people are complaining that the design is obvious, it's good for the, people are seeing it. But in terms of implementation, because I keep saying, look, the president as a matter of agency should look at, think of doing reshuffling. Because some of the ministers, it's not that I have personal something against them, but this is your legacy term. God has given you a second chance. Second chance is what every politician, every leader in this world will actually crave for. Look, our president's mate was Goodluck Jonathan. You are blessed to have a second chance. Goodluck never had such a... He retired after losing, his first term. You understand? So, I say that President Mahama is our Ibrahim Traore for Ghana. He's the only one who can change the way we do our politics, the way we run this particular nation. Because one, he has no election to run. And he himself has even come out and said that he's not going to run again. And that is good. So now here, you don't implement policies, with the fear that the people will vote against you. Unless maybe he's doing this one in the bidding of the next person who will take after him. Because maybe the party wants to go for a second term or what have you. But we don't build a nation with... We need one particular leader to come and change the whole status quo. And then move us in a different positive direction so that it will become a blueprint for others to come and follow.
Right.
If we don't do it that way, my brother, we're not going to head anywhere.
Okay. I mean, you raise very important things, but just because we are not focusing on that today, because I have a lot of questions I would have asked you along those same lines. But those are very genuine concerns, and I think that this Okada thing you talked about, very, very important. A lot of our young people just think, I see so many of them, and that is where they are focused.
Please pardon me to add. I mentioned being gender biased. I made mention of our boys. The ladies, my brother, look. Go to University of Ghana, go to UPSC, go to all the private universities. The ladies you see innocent like that, most of them are into hookups. I'm telling you for a fact.
Really?
Yes, most of them are into hookups. Because you see, we have built a nation where we think you can be rich overnight. And you can use very sophisticated gadgets that even rich people who are capable of buying thousands of those gadgets are not willing to buy. I have had the opportunity to be at a program where Ibrahim Mahama came there. And the kind of phone that he was, the phone he was? iPhone 7 Plus. You understand? Meanwhile, young girls are craving for 17 Pro Max and what have you. Are we crazy? So our young girls have become, hookups. These days, because of technology, they don't stand by the roadside. So even the young guys who want to marry, the road is highly opaque. You don't even know whom you are going to propose marriage to and what she does behind the scene. I'm telling you, if you like, you are a media house, take it upon yourself and find a very, innovative way to do a little survey. You will see that what I'm saying is the fact. Most of the times, it is the Nigerians you see them showing their faces and all of that. You understand?
They don't have.
I have done a
hide from
study.
here.
I will not mention the organization that actually gave me that contract. And then they wanted to know, how this HIV/AIDS is spreading amongst the the youth. And then I had to, interview some prostitutes, both in Kumasi and Accra here. And I was shocked. Sometimes you park your car short, then they will mention a price. And I said, is this because of this money that you don't know me anywhere? So do you know how I got them to interview them? I have to pay them for that service. And then I can get the interview done. And it was a very expensive research, because the point of the matter is that they are not willing to talk. And so, the design we use, I'm sure you have heard, a snowball design.
Yeah.
You understand? So one will recommend that whatever, you have to do it at a low key. And they don't want you to use their fellow females to go and interview them. I hope you get the point.
Yes,
so what we are going to do, so youth apprenticeship. Look, one of the reasons for which I voted for this particular current administration is the youth apprenticeship program. Forget about 24-hour economy. 24-hour economy cannot work if you don't have the human resource capacity. Take it or leave it. That one, I see it as a long-term. It's not a bad project, policy. It's a very good policy, but it's a long-term thing. We need to build our human resource base, not just training them from the university and churning them into the system. Look, I have brought a lot of first degree holders. I have to retrain them. I have said it here before. So we need the artisan. That is how Japanese took off.
Yeah.
And that is the reason for which the late President Rawlings brought the former GSS. I did technical drawing, technical skills, vocational skills, life skills, where I can use this needle and thread to do some handkerchief here, do the weaving. Vocational skills, and that is life skills. Vocational skills, I did basketry. I can weave a basket. I did technical skills. Technical skills, I can do kitchen tools and what have you. I did technical drawing. I can do simple drawings and what have you, front elevation, what have you. I know all those stuff.
I remember that.
I hope you get the point.
Yes.
I did so many things.
All of that have become quite theoretical these days. So
you understand? So we need to be very careful. So the youth apprenticeship program, my brother Opariado is joking. I mean, he's not really handling it well. And this one I'll mention his name because he's one of the guys during the vetting. If you look at how eloquent he was and the way he addressed issues, I really had so much faith in him. But it seems now he's doing the work of the NACOC. Is it the NACOC or NACOC? NACOC. You understand? Yeah. He has to leave that one and then, take charge of that policy and run it. Engage the agencies under him to do the implementation, to be the implementation machinery. By this time, there should be engagement. Go to Kumasi Magazine. These are the people who can dismantle this modern cars engine to the barest, component and then put them together. We should just get the youth there. Anyway.
Right. But like you said, I mean, this year's more stability. So in as much as they've launched certain programs, maybe in the coming year, 2026, we'll begin to see the implementation.
Yes, we hope so.
Yeah. So you've spoken generally about what you think about the economy thus far. Maybe you can touch on the budget that was read, 2025 budget. Yeah. Do you think that it has been effective? Do you think it's been able to implement the things that is set out to implement? And do you think that the impact has been very good?
Okay, so first of all, if you look at the 2025 budget that was read, there were policies and programs to stabilize the economy, and there were policies and programs aimed at propelling growth. Yeah. So I would like to handle them separately.
Sure.
The component that was meant to stabilize the economy has done excellently well. And it takes an insincere economist or policy analyst to say otherwise. Because I started by mentioning some of the indicators.
That's true.
Inflation, exchange rate, you talk about interest rate, and some other component. Even export has grown, quite marginally or significantly.
Gold
you understand? Gold and cocoa has also been, even in the face of Galamsey, where cocoa farms are being destroyed. You could see that, there has been some sort of marginal growth in the export of cocoa. So you can see that as far as stabilizing the economy is concerned, the government has done excellently well. In terms of implementation of programs to propel growth, like I said, me, I foresaw that this year will be an attempt to stabilize the economy. Much has not been done, even though some launches have been done. The Feed Ghana has been done, Ejumurura has been done, and Kokwanketenkete, I think will be launched this year or something like that. Yeah, sorry, this month or something like that. We're talking about,
I think this week.
Yes, we are talking about youth apprenticeship, as I just spoke about, has been launched, and what have you. But you don't see the implementation. So my expectation is that the new budget that is coming will be crystal clear about the implementation plans and all of that, and timelines for us to see. The citizens want to see something being done. You see that now, NDC, this government has enjoyed a long-term goodwill because the economy, everybody wanted a stabilization of the economy. So you can see that we are not even, attacking the government on the issue of the economies, even growth. You could see that GDP, the GDP, I think for now is around, as at 6 point something. You understand? As at the end of August, it was 6.3 or so. It's a long time I checked, so I stand to be corrected. So you get the point. Year on year, it is as by the end of October this year, it was 6.3%. That is the growth. You understand? We are hoping that, we'll move a little further by the close of the year. We are waiting to see that. You understand? So even growth, something has happened. And that growth, I'll give credit to the actual administration, because you see, growth doesn't take care. Growth is not instantaneous. So let us be fair. You understand? Growth is not instantaneous. There were some few things when they realized that they had failed Ghanaians, they started doing in 2024, but at that time it was too late for them. Those things are also contributing to the growth. You understand? Especially in the agricultural sector. You understand? Those things are contributing to the growth. You can't tell me that just this year, this government has implemented certain very astronomical policies for us to see growth in the agriculture sector. It's not possible.
Okay.
Whatever they are doing this year, we'll begin to see them in next year. You understand? So growth has not been that much. You understand? But in terms of stabilization, it is there. And I give them, if you ask me to rate them, I'll rate them between 80 to 90, because it is crystal clear. And that is what that's why they are enjoying the goodwill. You understand? People, and then one good thing they have done qualitatively, no significant scandal. So you can see that everybody is at peace. When you drive through town, of course, the disappointment has started showing up gradually. Okay? Especially in the area of the Galamsey and other stuff. But when it comes to the economy, people still have the hope and the trust in the current administration that they can do even more than what they are doing now. So if you ask me of the impact, I would say that I would rather say effect. There's difference between impact and effect.
Yes.
And let me take this opportunity, because we are educating as well. True. You understand? Effect is that immediate change you see when you trigger a policy. So, for example, let me use a very simple explanation. If there is a clean water here in a bottle, and I put muddy substance or a muddy kind of soil into it, what happens to that clean water? The color will change. Yeah. That is effect. That immediate change you see. Now, the impact will be when that water is consumed and the person falls sick.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah. So that is the impact. So it means it has gotten an impact on health. By the effect is the change you saw, pollution of water. So Galamsey, what we are seeing is the pollution of water.
I think it's the other way around.
No. So impact, you see, if you do impact.
So impact is what happens to it right away. That's what I think.
No.
And then effect is a negative.
No. If you do impact evaluation.
Okay, you don't worry.
I am an evaluator.
Right. Okay,
Whenever we say we are going to assess the impact of a policy, we are looking at the long-term outcomes or benefits. For example, maybe some program has been implemented. The impact will be that poverty has been reduced. And that is a long-term thing. You understand? Yeah. But the effect will be, for example, increase in production or productivity of farmers. That's the effect. You understand? But when the increase in productivity is just the short-term kind of change, people call it output that you are seeing, you understand? But the impact is when that productivity is be able to manage to reduce poverty and then improve on the quality of life of people, then we say the impact. So the immediate change you see is the effect. You understand? But people normally use them interchangeably. So so here, I would rather talk about the effect of the budget, this year's budget, because the impact will actually be felt next year. Like I said, some programs have been launched, and then you will see that the implementation is being done, and it will begin to have the impact being felt by close of next year and all of that. You understand? So in terms of the effect, you could see that now we are seeing that the prices of goods and services are marginally decreased, even though they are more slower, than we expected. You understand? So you see that even the free SHS policy is also something. We don't feel people agitating, agitating as it used to be. There's silence in the system. You understand?
Yeah.
All these things are some of the effects of this year's budget and the government effort to be able to bring stability and cool heads in the system. So you see that people are not under tension. Those the slightest careless you show on the road to the way excuse my language. You see, the person is frustrated.
You don't quite see that.
You understand? These days,
but I think that is typical of first year of every administration.
Exactly. So. But the point is that this one has been prolonged, and that is a good thing for them. Right. And that is why I think President Mahama, he has any shake-up to do to change the direction of the country this year and early next year is the best time
to do that.
Because by middle next year, you will see that the opposition will begin to have a voice.
That's true.
Because as for the stability, you have done, and so what?
Yeah.
You understand? You have implemented, you have launched certain programs, and so what? We need to see more. And that's where Ghanaians are going to call more. So if at that time the government and his appointees are not prepared, that is where they'll begin to lose that kind of goodwill that they are enjoying now. So whatever they need to do to bring a shake-up, that reset, the resetting agenda, is that this year is the best and the early next year is the best. Beyond that, you will see that already I have told you, because of Galamsey, the president rating kind of has come down. It used to be around 80 something. Now I think it is around 70 something. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. Because of the Galamsey. And if it so happen that agriculture sector, after launching, Feed Ghana and Kokon Ketenkete and all of that, people are not really seeing the still price of food is very high, then what have you done? You understand?
Right. Okay, so exactly 27 minutes after 9. This is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM. And this morning we're supposed to actually be talking about the 2026 budgets, the expectations that the expectations that we have actually. Yes, we've actually started a conversation. We've been talking quite a lot about the 2025 budget, and now we're going to zoom into the 2026 budget very soon. But you can join a conversation. Please feel free to send me a WhatsApp on 0544-321019, 0544-321019. Then I give you the opportunity to actually join a conversation. You can also call me on 030395661, 030395661. And then you can share your thoughts with us this morning. We're on Facebook. We're streaming live at ZFMGH on Facebook, and also Z Multimedia on YouTube. Z Multimedia on YouTube. Please feel free to send us your comments, and we'll read them for you. All right, Dr. Sophie. Now, I think we spent quite a lot of time talking about the 2025 budget, which is actually very positive. I mean, you have said it's delivered quite significant results, just that there's still some more things that could be done. Now let's look at 2026. Now from a macroeconomic perspective, what are your key expectations for the 2026 budget?
So expectations are two. First, whatever they are doing for us to enjoy the stability should be deepened.
Okay.
It's very, very key. You can't say that now the economy is stable and so you will leave it ajar and focus solely on growth. It doesn't work that way. Hold on to the things that you are doing that has brought us the stability. So that is very key in terms of, being tighten government expenditure, cutting waste, improving, public financial management process using technology, which is very good. And then improving government revenue by using technology to rake in more revenue in terms of ensuring that people comply with taxes and all the tax payment and all of that, or their tax obligations, is very, very key. You understand? The inception of Gold Board, they should quickly improve on other mechanisms to do this kind of tracing and all of that.
Okay.
It's very, very key. And then regulating the buying and the selling of gold within it. People are still buying from the black market. People are still buying. There are Chinese and Indians who go to the hinterland and buy from the Galamseyers. We need to clamp down on that and make sure that not even a single kilo of gold goes through the black market. It's very, very key. Then we should also ensure, that as far as gold cocoa production is concerned, we need to be very careful. Galamsey is destroying cocoa farms. We should try and make sure that the cocoa production is improved as we got 1 million metric tons some years ago.
Right.
We need to get there. Well, if you don't take care, China is going to take over from it, because now China is growing cocoa at a very faster rate. In fact, they have started even breeding a variety that can give them yield in a year.
Wow.
Whilst we are sitting here, and we just relax and all of that. If we don't take care, in few years to come, China will become the leading cocoa producer. And they are not going to only produce, but they are going to add value. Something we have failed as a nation to do for so many years. They are going to add value. So if you don't take care very soon, you are going to eat Chinese chocolate in your country, when your country was supposed to be the originator of that particular product. It's very key. Now, in terms of growth, it's very key at this particular juncture for this government. 2026 budget is supposed to be a growth agenda or a growth-driven kind of a document or policy document. If we don't do that, we're going to fail as a country. Because you see, now the current administration doesn't have 4 years anymore. It's just left with maybe 1 or 2 months to end this year. So let's call it, they have 3 years.
Even the 3 years, the last one is towards election. Which
Exactly.
will take a lot
and
of,
that one, they don't even have time to implement most of the things. Good. So technically, you are left with 2 years to implement certain things. Now, some of the policies and programs that they have actually launched, if you implement them, it will take a year or 2 before people will see the effect. And then others, the impact will follow later. And so that is why in my earlier submission, I was saying that the government or the president should think of doing reshuffling at the moment. It's very, very key. Look, it doesn't matter how the contribution of the person in the campaign, from maybe March or let's say April up to this time, is enough reward for the person. You understand? No matter what, it has gone on the person's CV as once being a minister or a deputy minister. It's very, very key. Now, the president should put able hands on the decks, on the desk, ensuring that ministers after reshuffle, ministers that come are show boys. People who roll their sleeves and hit the ground, dip their hands in the soil and work. Not people whose interest is to just appear in programs at funerals on weekend and social media is on them. The honorable minister of this was here and all of that. Enough of those political gimmicks.
Right.
We need to now, as a nation, and then as a matter of urgency, we need to ensure that as a nation, we are looking for growth and we should be hungry for growth. So I made mention of the youth apprenticeship, the 2026 budget. Of course, the 2025 budget, was, or some budget allocation was made for it, but implementation has not been done. I saw forms going around, and when I saw the Google forms, I was shocked. Even some of the youth walking on the street, they don't even know the kind of choice that of whatever training that they want. So, question is, has there been some sort of orientation? There should be some program ongoing orienting the youth of possible kind of skills that they can actually engage themselves in and avail themselves for training, so that they can earn a livelihood out of it after the training. Some of them don't know. You just throw in Google form and say people should fail. Fail for what? You understand? So that particular, it has to start from orienting the youth on the street. That is number one. Then the second phase of implementation should be stakeholder engagement. Players in the sectors where you want to train the youth. So that is, here we are talking about auto mechanics. I made mention of Kumasi Magazine. You understand? I made mention of Accra Kukumpe. I've made mention of Tamale Kukumpe magazine and all of that. Those areas that I've mentioned, they don't only do auto mechanics. They do auto electrician. They do auto upholstery. They do spraying. They do welding and all of that. Come to the construction sector. Plumbing is there. Steel bending is there. Bricklaying is there. That is masonry.
Right.
You understand? Electrical is also there. These days, even other gadgets like cameras and what have you, painting and all of that are there. So we need to engage, players in these sectors, and government should now sit down strategically, have some sort of PPP arrangement with them. Okay, we shall give you a X number of youth for your training, and government is going to give you ABC incentives to incentivize the players in these sectors and wholeheartedly train the youth, and even sometimes absorb some of them as their staff or as their workers. Is very, very key.
Right.
Then after that, a clear-cut implementation manual is put in place, telling us with timelines that for this number of, for maybe X year or this year, we want to train X number of plumbers, X number of arc welders, X number of so and so. Fashion design, hairdressing, and all of that are there. Even fashion design, Joyce Abebio and other fashion schools are there. We have other local fashion. Put them there. Let them go and learn their skills. Even my own younger in-law, my younger sister-in-law, operate a fashion, whatever, very big, where she voluntarily bring young ladies and train them and all of that. You understand? So all these things ought to be done to ensure that that particular program is being run. We should be practical in our implementation. Look, I've had the opportunity to be to take PhD to school up to PhD level. I think as country, we are too theoretical in thinking. You understand? Everything
Right.
book. We need to. 2026 should be a game changer for President Mahama, because this is his legacy term. After 2026, 2027 is there, and then 2028 is election year.
Yeah.
And then now, even 2026 or 2027, as a party, they have to go and elect a new flag bearer. So even internally, as a ruling party, they will not have the time.
Yeah.
Those ministers who have the ambition to contest, I've heard whatever. I don't want to mention names, but those ministers and appointees who also have the interest to contest, or even if they don't want to contest, but they support some of the contestants, hoping that if they win, they can get opportunities to serve in the person's government and all of that. You will see that they will begin to leave their offices and hit the road for campaigning and all of that. And that is very, very dangerous to us as people. And so 2026 shouldn't be a joke for the president. He should prove to us that, look, this year I'm going to give you the growth that you deserve, expand the economy, create more opportunity for our people, and then government will also, go home happily, because revenue will be boosted. If you work, the government will be able to take something small from you as a tax.
Right.
Yeah, is that also? Yeah. And then therefore we're expanding.
Talking about the revenue bit of all of this, and I would want us to touch on some of the specific things. So, for instance, inflation. We'll talk about taxation as well, and some other ones. Now, expanding the tax net has been one of the ways people have said that this is a way to actually boost revenue. Do you think the government can do that without overburdening households and also small businesses?
Yes. 500% yes.
Look, how so?
Let me give you an example. In the real estate sector, as we are talking, people are selling houses and lands, okay, taking hundreds of thousands of US dollars, and government is getting nothing out of it. Because we are not able to track properties. And then when it is sold and whatever you look, I've had the opportunity to travel to China, India, and some few other countries. One of the countries, when I went, I've forgotten. You see, the government has created a platform compulsorily. If you want to sell any property, you put it there. The price is there. When it is off the market, government takes its tax. They will come after you and take the tax. So
they even have systems that's actually
they have the systems to monitor. US is doing it. If you take, do you know that in Ghana here, this particular premises, assuming you are renting, when you rent, you are supposed to withhold part of the rent and pay to GRA. But ask how many offices that are being rented where the tenant companies are doing this. I myself, I didn't know until recently when I was going to file my taxes and all of that. And one of the questions came up. So my next rent that I'm going to pay, I'm going to withhold about 7.something%. I think 7.5%. You understand? And then pay it to GRA as withholding tax. You understand? Because there's no system to track. You cannot see. And so the people who are paying taxes are the people who have their payrolls and things with the controllers and accountant general. And maybe the private sectors, like Z Media, who wants to strictly go by the statutory principles of operating businesses in the country. And that one self, it is because Z is willing to do that to help, showing patriotism.
Yeah.
Being patriotic, the boss showing patriotism or being patriotic. That is why he's doing that. But there are so many businesses who who actually evade taxes. So we have to, and this time we need to use technology. Already this government has started using the technology.
Yeah.
I think some of them are in the pilot phase. We need to, as a matter of urgency, try to expand that particular thing. But my key concern is the real estate sector. Look, there's money in that area that if government turns its eye over there, they can rake in a lot of revenue. Because easily going here, one plot of land, sometimes half plot of land can be sold for a price of 500,000 USD. And you could see that people will meet in the room and then exchange them documents and then the money and then off they go. We should do it in such a way that after the sales, and one of the ways we can do is to use lands commission. If you buy a property or a land, you will definitely go and do change of ownership, right? Yeah. So that is where they can, track whoever did the sales and whoever did the purchase and then take the required tax that they ought to take. But even the lands commission, go and see the rot over there. People do whatever they like. They connive or they collude with people and even change people's data and all of that. You understand? Yeah. So we can use these institutions to do that.
Right.
It's very, very key. So we should stop overburdening people. And you see that poor teacher is so much overburdened to the extent that he's bleeding. The disposable income that they take home is nothing to write home about. Sometimes cannot even sustain even a single person for 10 days. Look, Ghanaians are magicians, oh. They are miracle workers. I keep telling my colleagues on a lighter note that, look, if you are looking for the miracle of God, come to Ghana. Because sometimes, imagine even a lecturer receiving 6,000 Ghana cedis a month as take home. Go to University of Ghana, go to UPSA, go to most of the, tertiary institutions. I'm talking of only universities. Some lecturers are even receiving 3,500 as take home. Some of them are receiving 4,000. Some of them are receiving, I think a professor is around 8,000. How much is 8,000? And the car, if the person is driving 4x4, fuel alone. So right. The burden on the people who take their salary from the country, people. It's so much.
Right.
But in the informal sector, government should use technology to, enter there and ensure that we relieve the few people, off a bit of, the burden that they're actually facing.
And I personally think we've been quite lazy. We've been doing the lazy man approach in terms of how we are collecting our taxes, because we are okay with the VAT, for instance. You know that whether I step out or not as a tax officer, the money will come to me.
Sure.
But the ones that we have to go there and get, we are not doing that, which is actually quite unfortunate. But on taxes, do you think, are there any taxes you think should go off? Are there some that you think should be retained or some that should be introduced?
The COVID. The reason the COVID was not scrapped when the government was scrapping some sort of a nuisance tax was because of an IMF conditionality. Yeah. So for me, if today we are exiting IMF, the first tax I will call for the government to strike, to scrap it is the COVID
levy.
It's not fair. Unless maybe government repackage it and put it in a different umbrella in support of education or a particular sector, I will agree. But the term COVID on it is a disgrace and a high share embarrassment as a country. But I understand because of an IMF conditionality, they decided to leave it. But either the government maybe repackages it and say that I'm using this one to create a particular fund to help X sector of the economy to boost that particular sector, I will agree. Otherwise, if the government has no alternative use for it, it should be scrapped. But apart from that, I don't foresee any other tax being scrapped. And I don't think it will be prudent.
Are there any other ones you think should be introduced?
At this stage, if we are looking for growth, no. Because the growth should be done with the private sector. And if we have been able to, like you said, we are lazy with our tax collection system. Otherwise, if we have been able to expand the tax, the revenue mobilization through taxes very well, such that the few people who are paying are no longer the only bearers of the tax, whatever. Okay, then in a serious nation, SMEs would have been given maybe 5-10 years tax holidays, and then they are monitored to be able to grow. You understand? Recently, I heard that the government is introducing about 3% annual tax, whatever, on them, which I feel like it is a shot at, at the foot, because you see, already the cost of doing business in the country is so high. So startups really are struggling. And so if you introduce that, you're going to hurt them the more.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I don't foresee any new taxes being introduced. If the government is focused on growth, we don't have to do that at all, because you see, you need the private sector to propel growth. Government, even if government can do business up to a certain level. I, for one, support a situation whereby the government provide all the necessary conducive environment for businesses, for private sectors to grow. I mean, create businesses and then grow them, and then expand to employ more people. It's very, very key. And entrepreneurship should be a key thing. There are so many things that we can make business out of. You see, yesterday, I went to drop my kids at school. I was with my wife, and we're talking about the seasonality of ripe plantain. Now, about 3 is 10 cedis. You understand?
Yeah.
And I was teasing my wife that because you take 10 cedis and you are getting 3, you are happy. Few months is going to go. Then all of a sudden, somebody who's not an economist brought a fine idea that, babe, why don't we, is it not possible that when there is a glut, at least somebody will set up a company, mash some of them, and then use them, can them for tatari, for beans, and you understand? Or even peel them and chop them into cans, and then put them on the shelf, treat it in such a way that the lifespan will be prolonged. This is one of the ideas that we can, if somebody is able to venture there. And there are machines in China, very cheap to do that. So entrepreneurship should be something that we have to inculcate in our people. Look at the environment you are. Because you see, to create business is about identifying a problem and finding solutions to it. And out of it, you make money.
True.
That is how businesses are created. So when I finished my master's, I realized that, you see, most of the times people will need some sort of feasibility studies, and that's how I started my research company. So companies because when I was doing my master's, I got some two rare estate developers who wanted to do feasibility because they had foreign investment partners. You understand? They engaged me, and I used hedonic models and all of that and then I did a very beautiful work, and I got some money, and that is what I used to even sponsor my final year thesis and the fees and all that. So when I finished, I said, okay, so then why don't I create a small business? You understand? And that is what I've grown. I've decided to nurture it up to this level.
Right.
Others can look at sanitation and then couch something. That is what this man, is it Jaspon? Yes, Zoom Lion did. And now he's rich. So when we say entrepreneurship, it's about smartly identifying societal problems, community problems, and designing innovative solutions to them and make money out of it. Right. We need to train and groom our young ones to think of that. So growth means no additional taxes. It's very, very key.
So you don't expect new taxes in the coming.
Otherwise, that is going to be seriously counterproductive.
Right. Okay. Now, on inflation, I mean, we're hitting single digits. Do you think it's possible to sustain it in 2026, or what would it take if it is possible?
More than sustainable, the single digit. And I have said, studying, using historical data and making projections. If we are able to manage the Bank of Ghana, what they are doing, tightening the monetary policies, strands and all of that, and then the Ministry of Finance, what they are doing, when the exchange rate the way we are and all of that, we can maintain inflation for a long time at the single digit rate range or trajectory for a long time, to the level that even if we are able to reduce the level of our importations, we can even drive it down to about 5%. You understand? Because our inflation, you see, and then the inflation is actually imported. Yeah. We import rice, we import offals, yemade, we import even toothpick, we import virtually everything that we consume. And all of them, you will need foreign currencies. And the more that you change your local currency into foreign so that you can export, you are putting a downward pressure on your local currencies. You understand?
Yeah.
And so it will get to a time importers will need more of the local currency to buy fewer of the foreign currency in order to be able to import. They are not for the Christmas, they are going to pass on the cost. And then so the general rise in the price of goods and services actually inure to inflation. You understand? So if we are able to put programs and policies in place to ensure that some of the things that we import, we are able to produce them here, and therefore we stop importing those things, then we are going to, have an inflation at a level where it was going to be a single digit, even lower than 8% for a longer time. So it's very, very key. So as for single digit, I have said it over and over for so many years that, look, Ghana is even beyond 8%, inflation. We don't even have to be there. We don't even have to pride ourselves. Our target actually should be between the range of 5 to 6 or 5 to 7 thereabout. Then we know that as an economic system, we have really done well for ourselves. Look, if Ghana is able to cut importation by almost 30%, do you know the snowball effect? Do you know the domino effect within the economy? If you are able to cut down importation of goods and services, especially food commodities, just food agriculture or food commodities by 30%, do you know the domino effect? The jobs that it will create, because in this case, we are producing in the country. And that is what Traore, who is not an economist, is doing. So you see that immediately he came, $12 million tomato factory. When somebody is using over $95 million to build just a hole in the name of building a cathedral, when already churches are doing well with cathedrals and whatever. You see, it's also borders on priority. When this young man came, even gold refinery, they are building tomato factory, they are building a lot of stuff. Within the shortest possible time, go and see the dualization of roads. From their independence up till this particular, they were having only 6,300 kilometers of roads. As a country, very bad. But now the guy has moved the thing to the range of about 8,000 to almost 10,000 kilometers of road for the whole country, and he's still doing it. And do you know what he's doing? He's not importing contractors. He's using local people. So the flying of money out of the country is curtailed. This guy is not an economist. Look, you don't need economics, too much economics to run a nation. It is common sense, because in your home, you are an economist. When you receive Trebi, when you receive your salary, be it X amount or Y amount, you know your necessities. Yeah. You know things that you can do away with. Is that not the case? Yeah. So you are able to manage the little you have such that the next month will come, and then you even be able to save some of the previous month whatever money. You're an economist. That's all about economics. That's all about economics. How to manage scarce resources in an optimal manner to get to optimize your benefit. Forget about all any other terms. You understand? Yeah. And that is what this guy is doing. So we need to actually have a look at that and ensure that we boost the economy by cutting down importation. It's very, very key. We rather have to import things on the basis of comparative advantage, things that we cannot do it here. You understand?
Right. Okay.
Then we can get there.
Okay. Right. Our time is up, and so we have to go. But maybe finally, I know we are under an IMF program, yes, and so that will require some fiscal discipline in the coming year. But a lot of people are calling for, like we said from the beginning, people need to see the effect of the stability we're talking about. They want to see something in their pockets. Do you think it's possible to balance that? And more so because we also plan to exit the IMF program in 2026. Yeah. And so do you think we can be able to manage all of those things, giving the economic relief to the Ghanaian people, and still making sure that we are ensuring some fiscal discipline?
The IMF conditionality is even what is helping us. It will still make the government remain disciplined. And I have said it here, that I hope the stability we are enjoying is not because IMF is sitting on our neck to ensure that we remain disciplined. Because I've seen it before, this cyclical situation. Whenever we are in, we find ourselves in an economic limbo, we go for IMF, programs. We are put in a very tight and disciplined manner. We manage, and you see that the economy takes shape. Immediately IMF leaves, daddy is no more at home, or daddy is travel, so let's do whatever. Then our leaders went back on borrowing spree and unnecessary spending spree. Then we come back to this particular cycle. So I hope that whatever they are doing, to ensure that we are enjoying this stability. One, it's not because IMF is in town, but it's because they are willing to do the right thing, for which is also helping us meet the IMF condition. So I am hoping that it's rather the other way around, that we are rather doing it with or without IMF,
right.
And because we are prepared to do the right thing, it is helping us also to meet the IMF condition. That is key. Now, that aside, people want to feel it in their pocket. You cannot feel in your pocket direct just because there is stability. That stability ought to be used. So here, for you to feel something good in your pocket, stability is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. And let me explain. It's a key, detailed economic term. A necessary condition, for example, it is a necessary condition for you to have a capital to do business. But it is not sufficient.
That alone is not enough.
That alone is not enough. You need to have a good marketing strategy, good business management, whatever, and all of that. Discipline and all of that. Good staff or good workers. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. And tight, management and all of that. Yeah. Those become sufficient for you to be able to use your capital to get benefit. So now coming back to a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition as far as stability is concerned. It is necessary for us to have stability, but that alone will not make you feel it in your pocket unless that sufficient condition called the growth comes in. I hope you get the point. Yeah. And so here, we have the stability. That stability, as people are calling, we don't feel it in our pocket. They are right. But there is some sort of, sufficient condition that the government ought to meet before you can feel that your expectation in your pocket in terms of feeling good. And that is the growth. And where do we start the growth? Agriculture. Look, the inception of the subject matter called economics in the world started when the world was purely agrarian economy. Almost every part of so if you read basic economic textbooks at the University of Ghana, I'm sure you are there, you see that 4 bushels of corn. The examples that they were using are all agriculture something. Right. Agriculture is the basis for everything. Industrialization, agriculture is the basis. You need to produce to meet the local demands in terms of consumption and also meet local demands in terms of raw materials for industrial takeoff or production. When we are able to do that, growth will start. Then, on the other hand, government using technology to ensure that in terms of efficiency, we are there. Efficiency in production, efficiency in management, efficiency in operations, and what have you, we are there. It's very, very key. Right. Then the next one is to ensure that the government itself cutting down waste and then engaging more in capital expenditure. Because it is that which is also going to create jobs. Look at the Accra and Sawom road that is being constructed. Yeah. Do you know the amount of jobs it is creating? You cannot quantify. You understand? Direct and indirect jobs. The direct jobs are the laborers and the masons and engineers who are being hired to work. And then the indirect jobs are the ex-sellers and what have you. Do you know the jobs that it is creating? So if whenever government engages in capital expenditure, automatically there's growth in the economy. Aside agriculture and the things that I've just mentioned. Right. Capital expenditure. We should cut down our consumption expenditure. And let me hasten to add, just to end, this mindset of politicians promising, free this, that they are all consumption expenditure. And it doesn't actually bring growth. Grow your economy. And when you get surplus, you can use some to do that. So
even when you are able to grow the economy, you might not even need a free because everybody is
exactly. You understand? Right. And that is one of the reasons I am not against free SHS, but I feel like we really don't need it if we are doing the right thing to propel growth. And Trebi, you are receiving, let's say, 10,000, 15,000 Ghana cedis a month as salary, at your level.
Yeah.
Don't you think you can educate your children in the best schools?
Because I wouldn't need
You see,
CSHs.
you can even accumulate and then buy your own plot of land and have your 2-3 bedroom house.
Right.
Very simple one and all of that. So we need to, stay away from free this, free that. I'm not saying they are bad, but the
right.
timing is not good for us as people. So growth is the sufficient condition to meet the necessary condition of stability in order to feel good in our pockets.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Felix Larry. I know there's so much burning in you to share, but because of our time, hopefully we can have another conversation after the budget reading and look at whether they were able to meet your expectations and some other things. So thank you so much for your time, and thanks for being here this morning and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank
really
you
grateful.
for having me as well.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please do enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, so that was Dr. Felix Larry. He is a development economist and he's executive director of the Institute of Development and Economic Research. And he joined us this morning for our roundtable conversation on the expectations for the budget. And he says that he is looking forward to growth in the coming year. Enough of the stability. Now let's make sure that we are transforming, or let's move from stability to transformation or growth. And that is actually something that he's expecting in the budget reading that will take place tomorrow. Well, but thank you very much for listening to us as well. And we hope that you join us again for another conversation tomorrow morning at exactly 6:15 through to 10 a.m. My name is Nitra B. Hammond. Thanks to the production team. We're back again tomorrow. Please do well to take care of yourself and make sure that when you think Ghana, you think Z as well. Up next is an inspiration from the Riser Brink.